Hey guys, it's Megatron, aka Nex.
And Javatronia, aka Javs.
We're here to bring you another Alt.Geeks
Show and Tell.
Jinx.
We have ToyWorld's Hegemon.
ToyWorld's take on the classic Megatron.
And it's awesome.
It's freaking cool. And right off the bat, big shout out and thank you to Jon Bailey.
Yes. Thank you for sending him to us. We are very appreciative of it.
Yeah, we're really stoked to get him.
Alright, so just a quick history. Anyone who's coming into Transformers, Megatron is the leader of the Decepticons. He's trying to take leadership of Cybertron and is...
He was the champion of Kaon, a legendary gladiator.
That's why he's so big and massive. He looks like a leader.
I mean, this guy really doesn't need much of an introduction. Megatron is Megatron. But Hegemon here, he is a great representation of the character.
Yeah, everything... I feel like just the whole aesthetic proportion is really great. From head to, you know, just body style. And a lot of the details that they have molded in are really great.
But definitely for our CHUG collection, or classics, he's like the perfect Megatron. Like, I just can't say enough about this figure. He's a little hard to attain nowadays, but, you know, I see him floating around here and there for, you know, pretty decent prices once in a while, but...
Yeah.
If you could get your hands on one, you should. I really think that ToyWorld did a great job of capturing Megatron's look. It's not a perfect figure, but, you know, for what it is, it's really awesome.
Yeah, I think the only overall complaint is just lack of certain paint details. He's pretty gray and black with a few red. I do like the light piping for his eyes, and then he does have some of the other more like translucent red plastic in his joints. So it gives some highlight effect or lighting, but it could have a few more paint apps to it.
Yeah, other than that though, the overall quality of the figure is really good. There are just some loose parts. I'm not sure if it's because it's out of wear or if it came like this, but there's some loose parts, but it's nothing that we can't work around, especially for our purposes of taking pictures and storytelling and stuff like. But other than that, like the lack of paint is like the big thing, but that could be resolved.
Alright, let's check out his articulation, which leads to how we display or pose him. Alright, so up close on Hegemon, his head rotates 360 degrees and only tilts at where his transformation is, but it does add some pretty dynamic range or looks for Megatron, which is pretty nice. His arm rotates 360. And the shoulder bend is actually here on the side, right in there.
That's the only pesky part, is that little door sometimes gets in the way.
Yeah, you have to kind of pull it up and move it there. He does have bicep swivel and elbow bend, and then his hand does rotate a bit. He has a sort of a torso swivel, not so much a waist, but that still helps and works out. And then his leg does go forward and back, but his hip panels kind of get in the way, so you might have to shift him out to be able to get more range back.
I call them butt flaps.
Yeah, it's butt flaps. And then he does go out. And then there is sort of a thigh or high knee swivel. Try to get around his cannon.
That's what she said.
Yeah. And then we have knee bend on a ratchet. And then his foot just tilts back and forth. And then you can get a little bit of a toe forward.
Is it on a ball joint?
No. Oh, yeah, it is a little bit on a ball joint. So you'd get ankle. It was just sticking up there a little bit further. But yeah, there's a ball joint in there. So you do get some tilt.
Check your facts, yo.
Yeah. There we go. Woo. Now try to get him all back together. Alright, here we have Hegemon in his alt mode as a modified Walther P-38.
Or based off of one, anyway.
And of course with the help of our Rumble and Frenzy holding him up.
You pick who's who.
He is a pretty awesome looking iteration of Classics Megatron.
Yeah, he's a pretty good size too. He's a little bit big in the handle. As you can see, it's about that big compared to your actual hand, or human hand. Yeah,
the grip's a little bit off proportion as far as the body of the weapon here, but overall I think he's pretty cool looking.
And honestly, the transformation isn't that bad once you get to know the procedure, but it's actually really easy. A pretty decent transformation, a lot of fun to get to know. Except for the panel forming like around here, they're actually the panels on his hip skirts and stuff. And, you know, it's all good. It works, but you know, as you can see, it looks a little weird just around that area. It's not too bad. But yeah, I think he looks really cool.
Yeah, I really appreciate the overall aesthetic. There's that panel forming and a little areas that don't really close up or gap up. It doesn't have a nice smooth finish, but considering it's a really awesome like third party, somebody created this, they did a really good job. And the transformation is as complicated, I think, as Megatron would be, but still not
MP36 or a polygon complicated.
Yeah, no, it's just, it gets you to work and think, and you have to move things together. And I think just the shape, the natural shape of his alt mode, aside from like jets and cars, it's going to take a little bit of twisting and turning and passing of parts.
To be honest, it's a little bit more challenging in my opinion than Classics Optimus once you get used to the procedure.
Yeah.
We never display Megatron in his alt mode, but if we're going to use alt mode Megatron for our CHUG collection or Classics collection, we'd honestly use this version. This actually came from MP10 Voyager Optimus. We just use that. Save time on transforming and
yeah,
and trying to shrink down an entire Voyager scaled Megatron to classic size.
Yeah, but as you can see between the two, this one looks pretty freaking awesome. Hegemon.
All right, let's take a look at some size comparisons, and let's give another round of applause to our lovely assistants, Rumble and Frenzy. Yay! Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and show you some comparisons here.
We have our Hegemon custom.
As you can see, we did a custom metallic silver over his entire body.
It is some red highlighting
Around his waist and whatnot.
Yellow and a little blue.
Yeah, just some minute details. As you can see, we painted around our Hegemon's eyes and gave him that the eyebrows above it. Painted some red around his waist. We disassembled the whole thing, and Java did the base coat of the silver, and she did some of the detailing, and I finished out a lot of the detailing and reassembly.
It was a fun project, and I think it really paid off for the way he looks. It just bumps it up a bit more.
Another aesthetic change that we do for our customs is as you can see, we took off all of our Hegemons, the butt flaps and the trigger, and just took off all the extra stuff that didn't really need to be there. But it looks a lot cleaner without all the kibble. But you know, actually, honestly, besides the trigger kibble, Hegemon doesn't have too much.
No, and besides posing, you know, the butt flaps don't really show up in just his display mode, and they don't cause a problem with posing people around him.
They do cover up his killer thighs though. No.
Yeah.
Look how defiant they are.
But just to make things a little bit easier and more pose friendly from the get-go, you know, just removing those things is just our preference. And now we'll go ahead and share more figures for size comparison. Alright, and for our size comparisons, you can see we brought out a few different guys.
Two of Megatron's favorite people.
Oh yeah.
Got his best buddy Optimus there. His main ride, Astro Train.
Yeah.
His #1 fan, Starscream. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, as you can see, we have a couple Voyager scaled figures out here just for comparison, like 10K Megatron back there. You can kind of see him peeking behind Hegemon's arm cannon, and then we got Mania King vintage color. Hegemon scales pretty well with the Voyager scaled figures, including that MP10 Voyager Optimus. We also have that leader class Combiner Wars Megatron back there, and yeah, he scales really good, you know, with the Legends and the Deluxes. Starscream's an unfortunate case. The Seekers need a new mold. Figured we'd bring him out to show him what he looks like with the classic Seeker.
Yeah, he just fits in really, really well. His overall like width and size fits in really well with all of them. He doesn't overpower anybody, but he definitely stands strong against Optimus, and he scales over the Deluxes really nicely in the Legends. I think overall they did a really great job in keeping him in proportion and scale.
Yeah, overall I really like Hegemon, and unfortunately his brand mate Orion, he's really awesome, but he's a little bit bigger than Hegemon. You can get add-ons, the Firefare King of Evil kit, but since we're using MP10 Voyager as our stand-in Optimus, he doesn't need the loafers anymore.
No, he doesn't.
But yeah, this guy's really awesome. I'm glad we have him for our CHUG collection. He's hard to find, but if you could find him, pick him up. Even just to have. He's fun to play with. He's a good toy.
I don't know. He completes our CHUG and stands in well with the other Megatrons that we have. Yeah, so if you can find him out there, he's definitely one to pick up, stand in, or add to your Megatron collection.
Alright guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us yet again for another Alt.Geeks show and tell.
And we'll check you later. Peace out.
Bye.